I need your help. I've reviewed the Gamesir Cyclone 2 and the MOJHON Blitz 2. Both of these controllers had very little to complain about. They're both really good. But I constantly keep getting asked in my comments, which is better, Cyclone 2, Blitz 2? And I have to say the same thing every time. I don't know. So today I'm going to weigh up all the pros and cons for both controllers, and then I'm going to let you decide. Because both controllers, as great as they are, each have their own advantages and disadvantages. Let's take a look. First up, the Cyclone 2. Most people would assume that this is the best controller since this is the one that I use the most. However, that's not necessarily the case. This is the controller that I use the most. This is my daily driver, but for two reasons. Number one, it's compatible with my own thumbsticks. So these are not the original Gamesir thumbsticks that come with the controller. These are my own that I've put in there, and these have interchangeable tops so that I can swap them out as and when I want to. They come in different heights and also different cap tops as well. So I can even put a PlayStation style on here along with an Xbox One or vice versa. But the Blitz 2 does come with its own thumbstick caps as well that are interchangeable, and it comes with a whole bunch of these as well. So just on its own, that's not the reason why I will use the Cyclone 2 the most. The main reason is down to the shape and the layout. If you close your eyes and I drop this into your hands, your first guess would be an Xbox controller with back buttons. It takes the same shape, style, and a similar weight to a standard Xbox controller, but with the added benefit of clicky buttons, rear buttons on the back, and clicky triggers. So it's just what I'm used to. I've played on Xbox consoles for well over 10 years of my life, and this kind of shape, style, and weight of controller is just what I'm used to. It just feels more natural just because of how long I've been using this kind of controller. And as you can see, the Blitz 2 is just a slightly different shape. It's a little bit wider here, a little bit thinner here, a little bit less of an angle down here. It's a little bit more straight and just feels generally different. But that's not to say it's bad. In fact, this might actually be the ideal shape and layout for a controller. Because even when I used this for about 3 weeks, I was able to find a comfortable spot and get used to it. Also, this controller is slightly more expensive. This one's cheaper. If I break this one, I'm going to cry less. But again, that shouldn't be something you take into account. So, what have these controllers got in common? Well, first of all, every button on both of these controllers is a micro switch, and they're all really nice, responsive, and clicky. Both of these controllers have TMR analog sticks, so they're super precise, responsive, and won't get stick drift. And also both are customizable in the app. You can customize the response curves of all the thumbsticks. You can remap all the buttons to whatever you'd like them to be. Both controllers are wireless and come with 2.4 GHz dongles. Both controllers have clicky micro switch triggers. Both controllers also have gyroscopes, turbo features, and also have 4 different modes. Both controllers are compatible with PC, Nintendo Switch, Android devices, and much more. Both controllers also do have a DS4 mode. On the Blitz 2 it's called DSE though, as it replicates more of a DualSense Edge, only on PC. But neither controller can be used natively with consoles, so you can't just go ahead and plug them into your Xbox Series X or PS5. And both controllers have 2 remappable buttons on the back. That pretty much sums it up for the similarities though. So what are the differences? The Blitz 2 supports a 2000 Hz polling rate, and when tested out, has an input latency of half a millisecond on average. This controller is by far the fastest and most responsive controller I've ever tested. The Cyclone 2 supports a 1000 Hz polling rate, and when testing that out, the input latency sits at about 0.9 of a millisecond. So the Blitz 2 is definitely faster, but the Cyclone 2 is also no slouch. And in terms of how much it's actually going to improve your gameplay, it's very, very little. The benefit of 2000 Hz is just going to be that you get a little bit more of a consistent response, as these are average input latencies, and every so often it can have a bit of jitter and spike, and some responses might not be as responsive as others. So the Blitz 2 overall will just be a little bit more dependable. But I've not had any major issues with the Cyclone 2, hence still using it. Plus, there are much slower controllers out there. Now additionally, as well as the 2 buttons on the back, the Blitz 2 has 2 additional buttons remappable on the top of the controller that you can reach over and use with the fingers that you use for the triggers. This is a really nice placement and can give you a little bit of an advantage, especially when it comes to playing games like Fortnite, Rocket League, and many more. But one other difference is the triggers. On the Blitz 2, it has tactile micro switches for the triggers, but that's it, and it can't be changed. These triggers do not have a Hall effect analog mode, whereas the Cyclone 2, if you flick this little switch, becomes a Hall effect analog trigger, ideal for racing games and many more. The Blitz 2 comes with a hot swappable D-pad, so not only do you get this multi-directional D-pad, you can also have a standard one just like on the Cyclone 2. But on the Cyclone 2, this is all you get. You don't get anything else. And I must admit, this is a really nice D-pad. Not only does it have your up, down, left and right movements, it also has your diagonal inputs as well. The Cyclone 2 does have a 3.5mm headphone jack, which is a combo jack so you can plug in your headphones with a built-in microphone. And the Blitz 2 does not. The Blitz 2 also does have 4 buttons on the bottom of the controller. These are for being able to do things on the fly like switching profiles, enabling macros, remapping buttons, and enabling turbo. The Blitz 2 has this rubber texture grip wrapped around the controller, which is really nice and grippy. One of the most grippy I have ever experienced, really. And the Cyclone 2 does not, it just has plastic. However, the Cyclone 2 is quite clever because it has this texture to the plastic, which is very fine, and it actually copes with moisture on your hands very well. I don't experience any issues with the Cyclone 2, even with gaming sessions as long as 5 and 6 hours, and I do get very sweaty hands. So both controllers are definitely hitting the mark in that area, just in different ways. The D-pad on the Cyclone 2 kind of sucks. You've got a lot of travel, and it feels a bit spongy, even though it has got tactile micro switches. It does the job, but for games where you're going to be using the D-pad a lot, the Blitz 2 has a much shorter travel, a much more satisfying click, and just generally feels better. Both analog sticks perform really well. There's not really anything worth mentioning between the two. The Blitz 2 does have a slightly longer battery life of about 12 hours. The maximum I was able to get out of the Cyclone 2 was about 9 hours. Although the Cyclone 2 does have much more in terms of RGB lighting effects, so potentially this could have an impact. My recommendation has always been, if you're familiar with original, official Xbox controllers, this one is going to feel much more natural in the hand. But if you are coming from a PlayStation controller, such as a DualSense, then the Blitz 2 will actually feel a little bit more natural in the hand. Even though it's still got offset analog sticks, I feel like the angles and the shape of the controller just suits that of a DualSense player a little bit more. Both controllers come with software on PC and mobile apps as well to be able to modify and change things and customize it to your liking. Now the Blitz 2 has probably a few extra features over the Cyclone. Not only can you remap any button to any button on the controller, but you can also remap keyboard inputs to any button on the controller, including A, B, X, and Y. The Cyclone 2, you can only remap controller inputs to any button. However, I must say, the assistant app for the Blitz 2 needs a little bit of UI work. It's not very user-friendly at the moment. Hopefully in the near future, that can be improved. But Gamesir have definitely put a lot more effort into the UI and the layout of everything in their applications, and it's much easier to find things and understand what each feature does. Both controllers feel durable, high quality, and very well put together. The Cyclone 2 I've had a little while now, and it's my daily driver. It gets put through hell maybe 4 or 5 days a week, and it's still going very strong. No stick drift, no faults, no issues, no defects. The Blitz 2 hasn't quite been put through its paces just yet, but feels very well built. I experienced no issues, hitches or glitches with using any of the features. It performed flawlessly for well over 40 hours, so I don't expect any issues to arise with this one either, but I'll keep you posted. Now obviously price matters, value for money matters. The Blitz 2 is more expensive. You can pick up the Cyclone 2 for about $50 and the Blitz 2 for about $80. However, I do think the price difference is justified. The Blitz 2 does come with more features, a faster polling rate. It does come with interchangeable thumbsticks right out of the box, as well as an interchangeable D-pad. The Cyclone 2 does have removable thumbsticks, but Gamesir are not providing any others to swap it out for. Better yet, they also don't make any additional ones available to buy online. So why the thumbsticks are removable in the first place is a question I cannot answer. The cable that comes in the box with the Blitz 2 is also a nicer cable to use. Whereas the Gamesir cables, although they are high quality, and for over 6 months now I've not had any issues with them, they're just a little bit too stiff and tend to be a little bit annoying and get in the way unless you use some kind of like cable ties and strap them out of the way. So the Blitz 2 definitely does have a nicer cable. I've also known the wireless dongle on the Blitz 2 to be more reliable. It does support up to 2000 Hz wirelessly and is just as fast wireless as it is wired. The Cyclone 2 on the other hand does support 1000 Hz wirelessly, but I do find that the dongle just doesn't quite handle it as good as plugging a cable in. It's still really good and still fast and responsive, but there is a noticeable difference between using it wired and wireless. Both controllers support Bluetooth as well, and you can expect your usual Bluetooth latency with both. So there you have it. Now it's time for you to decide which one do you think is better. If you enjoyed the video, give it a thumbs up and hit subscribe down below and turn on notifications so you never miss an upload. That's it from me, but for now, go kick some ass and we'll catch you in the next one. Ciao.